All right, before we dive into the code, I want to kind of give a quick overview of some of the how we're going to structure these various menus and views within the game. So we're going to the Paint program. We're going to do some high-tech drawings here. What we're currently doing in the game is we got this main loop. And that main loop currently calls out to our game object. So it calls out to game.update. So what is our game object? Our game object is what's, yes, it handles rendering and displaying the map and all that kind of stuff, but it's also kind of the main purpose of that object is to store the state. So state is what it stores. What do I mean by state? State is it's things like where's the player currently at? What are the stats? Where are the monsters, or which monsters have been captured? So just that's what I mean by state. So the game object, that's its primary responsibility. It shouldn't really also be updating the rendering, but it does. So that's kind of our current structure. We got this main game loop, we do a while, the game state, a certain state, we call game update. This video, what we're going to do is we're going to add in a branch in this game loop. It's going to be an if statement. It's going to say if, and basically this is going to handle the menu. So it's now going to either call game.update or essentially menu.update, or whatever we call that method. Okay, so that doesn't currently give us any battle screen. So to get that, what we're going to do is we're going to branch off of this game object, the map object. So now we're going to also have this map object that, because the game's going to be calling it, it will be able to pass in the player state, where the player should be, all that kind of stuff. And the map will update itself, and then we're also going to add in a battle. So basically in the game.update method that we have, we're going to be able to add in multiple screens. So in this case, it's going to be battle. All right. So that's going to be this video. And then of course, in future videos, we could, from that same game.update, we could do like a room, right? Or we could do an inventory, or, yeah. So that is kind of the high level picture of what we want to do with very fancy graphics. Okay, so first we're going to start by adding in the menu. We can get rid of that to do because we're doing it right now. We're going to do, so first we're going to come in here, say if.gamestate equals gamestate.running. I'm going to change that to ended. Let's say not equal to ended. Then we're going to say if game.gamestate is equal to gamestate.none, I think is the one we'll use for the menu. We want our clock tick at the start of this if state or while loop. So then we're going to come in here and say menu.update. We don't have a menu object yet, but we will fix that. Then we're going to say if game.gamestate is equal to gamestate.running. Then we're going to do our game.update. So first problem here is we don't have a menu object. Let's go ahead and add one. Menu equal menu. We'll pass it the screen. And we'll call menu.setup. Not sure what that will do right now, but we'll assume that's going to be something we do. All right, then we are going to add a menu in here. Call it menu.py. And we can kind of copy some of the code from the game object. You can also copy this. This could be a good case for an abstract base class in Python. Rename game to menu. We've got our screen here. We don't need this right now. We will need game state. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how we do that. That's gonna be interesting. Because currently the game state is a variable of the game, but the menu doesn't have the game. So we'll see what we do when we get there. Really, we kind of want this to be almost a constant. Kind of would make sense to make that a constant, like across the entire game rather than just as an object of the game. But we'll deal with that later. Let's first just get the menu going. Actually, we can. Yeah, this is a hack, but it's a fine hack. We'll just pass in game for now. Not ideal, but we're just going to do that for now. So now if in this object, when we update the game state of our self.game, it will also work in the main loop. Again, this isn't ideal, but it's going to work. So let's continue on with that. So now we want to actually be drawing the menu. So if we go into our game object, it's going to be in the update of our menu. So we're going to steal some code from the render map. So in the menu update, we're just going to draw a really simple image. So we are going to go back into our paint program. 400 by 100 should be fine. We're going to add some text. I don't really know how to use this program. Press enter. How do I move it? Okay, now we have our fancy menu image into our project. So we can go ahead and draw that on the menu. It's going to be similar to how we drew the player, which I don't remember how we did that. So let's see if we can grab that. We'll just copy one of these lines. We can probably put that in our setup. Image, so we just want this menu image equals pygame.image load, and then we're going to pass it the correct image, which is menu.png. Put a self.menu image on that. And we're going to do the same thing where we create a rectangle and then call screen.blit on that. So here scale isn't important, though we might need to modify these values slightly. And we'll just pass it self.menu image. And let's see if that works. I'm not super familiar with Pygame, so I'm definitely learning as I do this. All right, so we got an exception, which is cool. We got it in here. Now I think we don't know, yeah, so menu's not defined. My project's a little broken right now. I think I'm gonna fix that in the next video, but so for now we just need to copy this, go from menu, import menu. Valid syntax. Oops. How'd that happen? Just forgot an I. So we are going into the wrong state currently because I think in our game, in our setup, we are putting the state, the game.state. Self.gameState equals none, GameState.running. So what we're going to do is in our main loop, we're going to remove that from there. We want to call game.setup somewhere else. But for now, we'll just keep it in GameState.none. So let's rerun that. So screen is not defined. That's because we need a self.screen. Okay, so here's our menu. Oh, and I can't exit out. So we're going to go to our game update loop and basically copy some of those actions from the handle events. Could do a handle events method as well, but we're just going to put it in the update for now. Copy all of that up until the k_w. Go to the menu. So we're again going to get the events from Pygame. If event.type equals pygame.quit, and go to GameState.ended. Same thing if it's k_escape. That's cool as well. Now here, we're going to do self.game.GameState. Again, I'm not quite sure what the best way to handle that. It's definitely not this way, but we'll do that for now. And then for this Pygame, we're going to change this to return. I don't know why I'm not getting my IntelliSense. I think because the project is broken. So that is a problem. Okay, so my IntelliSense isn't working, but I know what the key code is. It's k_return, so I'm just going to type that in manually for now, and we'll get that fixed later. So if they hit enter, then what we're going to do is put the game state to running. So let's see if that works as expected. So it does work as expected, but we're not calling game.setup. So for now, we're just going to put it in here. Not ideal. We could put it in our main loop, but I could also see, like, this is our main menu, so it could also load a different game. You know, we could call a game.loadGame instead of game.setup for a saved game, that kind of thing. So I could see some arguments for putting it here, but it's kind of lazy just passing around references to things. So if we hit enter, game is not defined. Where's that? Self.game. So we need self.game setup. Oh, and we don't actually need to set that. Okay. And there we go. So now we have a menu and it's loading our game. So a quick thing we can do is we can kind of return to that menu from the game state. So instead of game state.ended on so when they hit escape, it's going to go back to none, but when they hit quit, it's going to go back to ended. Does that make sense? So you hit enter to start, and then if I hit the escape key, we should go back to the menu. Sorry about that. So we're going to have to clear the screen as well. So if we go to our render map somewhere in here, I guess no, it's our update. So we're gonna call self.screen.fill.config.black on the menu, just to make sure that we return to that state always on our update. So now if I hit escape, we go back to the menu. Oh, interesting. Look at that. We have like multiple players now. I wonder why that is. Huh. I guess because we have an array of players and we don't clear out that array of players when we create a new game. That's fun. So we can just add multiple players. Haha, that's cool. Alright, so obviously a bit of an issue there, but that's no problem. So we are going to stop there and we're going to add in the battle screen next. Okay, I've gone and added some monster images here. Again, I just found a pack from Kenny. I've been using his assets throughout. So I've just found some grass type monsters we can use. We got a chicken. What is that? Snake, frog. What was that? I don't know, a duck, I guess. And that could be more water based. So now we're going to jump into our game object, and remember, if you basically what we're going to do is we're going to split everything related to the map out, drawing the map into its own view object, and then we'll create a battle object as well. So let's go ahead and add a new folder, and we'll call it game_view. And in here we're going to add a new Python file, map.py. And then we just need to find out, okay, what are we going to actually pull out? So it's going to be this self.render map needs to go in there. Probably load map as well. Oh, there's already a map. What is this map? Is that just an array? I think that's just an array. Okay, so we want to kind of refactor this to not. Yeah, so I'm not set up in a project. I hate that. Okay, so we're just going to call this map_array. And we're going to have to find everything in here that's self.map. hope that it's not referenced elsewhere. Yeah, definitely going to fix that it's not in a project. It's because I have all of these multiple folders, so it's messing up my PyCharm. So I think the next video is just going to be kind of setting up a separate project, and then I'm going to change how I commit to Git, or at least might not completely change, might still have the separate folders, but I'm going to have a single kind of project directory that I then tag as well, which should be easier now that I know how to use Git a little bit better than I did way back when. Tagging, so advanced. Okay, where are we here? So game.py, let's just make sure that that still runs after refactor, that manual refactor. And that still looks good. Still got our wonky 2 players. So in map.py, now we can basically have that get handled in the array get handled in the map. So class map. And we do want to pass in the screen. And we'll also put this in there as well. So now we don't need this in the game object. And this should be, well, we'll create the map in here. So we'll do self.map equals map, and we'll pass it the screen. And then we'll call self.map.loadMap. So now we need to pass or move this method from here to the map object. So that should be good. And then the render map as well will get moved over, and we'll just call it render because it is a map. We don't need to call it render map anymore. And the same thing with this, we can just call this load. Self.determine camera. That could still be a problem, but yeah, I guess for now we'll move all the camera to the map as well. I guess for, you know, like if there's an in-game menu, it's not going to care about a camera, hopefully. So let's just move it out. So why are we doing all this? Well, it's nice to have, I think as you were probably seeing in this video, this is getting too long. And so if we want to find something like update, it's just taking too long to find. It's making the logic confusing. So just refactoring logic that's specific to a map object just will make everything that much easier. So even something like this, like this should almost be in the map object as well, but we'll keep it there for now. Okay, let's run this and we'll just kind of see where we're at. It's going to obviously fail, but that's okay. So map is not defined, so we need to import that. So from game_view import map. Should fix that one. Cannot import name map from game view. So I think it's gameview.map. It'd be so much easier if the project was actually working. Map has no attribute load map because we renamed it to load. Same thing with render. Config is not defined. So we need this. Probably that as well. Actually, we're just going to grab all these. Map object has no attribute player. So we could pass in player to the map. I don't really like the sound of that, but pass it in here and then pass it in there. Those are not defined either. That should be in the, or is that in config? These map tile images are now obviously in the, they're now in the map object. Pass in the player. If we wanted to make sure that, you know, we're not messing with the actual player, we could pass in the player's coordinates, and I think that would do the same kind of thing, but it's fine for now. So game no longer needs a camera. So we'll go ahead and pull that out of here. Put it in the map object instead. So now we're going to pass the objects into the map.render because I think that just makes more sense. This is like basically I don't want the game to be handling drawing anything. So that's why we're going to pass it into the map.render. Getting passed in, that will be a parameter. Hey, almost there. Let's see. Game object has no attribute map array. Shouldn't really be doing this, but yeah, this might be a refactor to come up. I love a good refactor, that's for sure. And there we go. So we've now refactored all, not all, but most of the map drawing properties out of the game object, so it should be slightly easier to know what's going on in here. And now map is in charge of rendering itself. Okay, so why did we do all that? Well, what we want to do now, trying to figure out, wait, why did we do that? Basically, what we want to do is we want to find out, did we, if we found a Pokemon, then we want to go into the battle screen. So going back to our diagram, which was a good place to start, basically this game.update is going to determine if we are in battle. So if we're not in battle, if we're in the map, we're going to call update on the map, and map's going to handle everything. Otherwise, we're going to go to the battle. So basically, we can take everything in here and we can say if self.gameState is equal to. Now, the question is, do we want, we have game state, but then we also have, it's kind of like a global game state. You know, we're in the menu, we're in a game, we're done. But inside the game state, we also have states. So I really want to hit like refactor on this and do a rename everywhere that's found to call it global game state or something similar to that, menu state, something like that. But since it's not set up currently correctly, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to add a new enum in here and call it class, and we're going to call it current game state. And here we're going to have map, and we're going to have battle. So then from game state, we're going to import game state and current game state. Then in here, we're going to do if, so we need another one of these, self.current underscore game underscore state equals current game state dot map. And we'll paste that there and say if it's equal to current game state dot map, do all this stuff. If so if we're in the battle state, then we're going to call trying to think, like, would we ever want multiple battles, or can we just have a battle object called battle.update? I think that's fine. So then in the determine Pokemon found, what we're going to do, after we do self.battle equals none. So in here, currently it's pretty basic, but we're just going to do self.battle equals new battle, and we'll pass it screen. Okay, so basically we're saying if we found a Pokemon, then we have this battle object, which is its own view. Again, going back to that diagram, there's now multiple views. There's a map view, there's a battle view. So we have a new view, which is a battle view, and we are assigning it in the game object. And let's write that now. So we're going to put our battle object in the game view, call it battle.py. You can add that to Git. So it's going to be very similar. So for now, we're just going to quickly copy and paste it. I think I mentioned earlier this would be a great candidate for an abstract base class. Maybe we'll do that in the future, but for now, it's just going to be a simple battle. Screen goes in. We don't need a map array. We don't need a camera at this point. Load. Not going to do anything right now. Don't need a file name there. Render. Don't need a camera. So for now, we would just close that out, and we're just going to pass for now. Fill this out in a minute. Don't need a determined camera. And we are going to go ahead and add in our monster images. We have a new array, monster image equal, and we will set these to monsters /001. Actually, no, we don't want these. So we're not going to use that. What we are going to pass in is, what do I want to pass in? Well, right now we're just going to handle a single monster that you're fighting. Obviously this will have to change, but monster's going to get passed in. And self.monster equals monster. That's just going to be a string. So let's call this. It's in game that we're determining that there's a monster. Let's see, where was that? Determine Pokemon found, map tile, random number, generate random number. So we're going to also generate a random Pokemon. So if we find a monster, which is this percentage hit. Oh, we have a monster factory. I forgot about that. Monster factory and monster.py. Okay. Okay, we already have a found monster, so we should just pass in that monster. Alright, so we're passing the found monster, which we created in the previous video that I completely forgot about, into the battle. So this is not a string anymore, it's a monster object. And in the monster factory, so in the monster factory, what we'll do is we'll create a monster kind of identifier. So for now, we can just create a random number between the monster count that we have. So that will be, let's go back to where we have this random number, stick that in our monster factory. Need to make sure that we are importing utilities. Okay, so what are we doing here? In our monster factory, we are creating a new monster and we're going to assign it a number. And what we're going to do is we're basically going to do a switch. No, we're going to do an if monster type is equal to, where are our monster types? So our monster types currently match the map tiles. So that's just a string, that's fine. In our monster factory, we're going to say if it's equal to grass, then we are going to say generate a random number between config dot grass type start and config dot grass type end. You know what? Let's get that at the start, and then we'll pass it into the monster object itself. Back up, back up. So we're going to say if the monster type is grass, then the random number, to basically create a grass monster. And elif, just in case, we'll initialize random number. So random number equals 0. Or -1, just to say that wasn't generated. And then if it's a grass monster type, we're going to generate within these configs. We don't have this yet, so we got to add that in our config. So grass type start. And why don't we call this, why don't we do config underscore monster for a new file. So config monster. So it starts at 1, and grass type end is 5. So now we need to import config. Okay, so what's happening? We initialize this random number to -1, which means no monster type. We say if it's a grass, we're going to randomly generate a monster between 1 and 5. 1, 5. And then we're going to create the monster and pass that random number in. We don't need this anymore. Okay, now in our monster object, so monster type and then monster itself. Monster itself, so we're going to say, we can just call that ID, because each monster type will have a, or there's monster type, which is like grass and fire and all that kind of thing, and then each monster will have a number, so self.id equals ID. That's cool. And then based on that, we can do self.image equals, and now we want to load the monster image So we can get our loading image code here. So image.load, and it's basically going to be /monsters plus, we want a string from that self.id, and we want to pad it with 2 zeros at the front. So to do that, we can put in an F, which I think is format. We go like this. So self.id is what we're formatting, and we're formatting it to 03D. I think that will work. Slash there. I'm not quite sure. I kind of want to put a breakpoint on that. Okay, so then in the battle object, now that we have that, the monster's coming in, getting assigned in render. Let's just see if we can draw that. I'm just copying the drawing image code from the menu to apply it in the battle. So first we're going to clear it with black. Why don't we, what other colors do we have in there? Let's just do it white if it's a battle for a bit of change. I'm going to have a rectangle. Then we're going to do self.monster.image. Let's run this and see what errors we get. All right. So module config has no, right, so we changed it from config to config monster. So that is going to be in Monster Factory. And let's run that. So PyGame's not defined. So I'm going to import that. So our formatting is not working. And that's because we're missing colons around here. Or squiggly parentheses, not colons. Brackets. Okay, so that should format it now. Let's give that a try. So name battle is not defined. We've got to import that. So from gameview.battle, we're going to import battle. This would be so much easier if the error handling working in the project. Next video, next video. Okay, whoops. What did we get this time? So we have a D there. Why is there a D? Guess we don't need the... Well, it's not working. What is not working about it? Oh, wait. No, I think I had it right. Just there's a D there. Okay, let's retry. Okay, so we found a monster, but nothing got displayed. So let's see why nothing got displayed. That's going to be in our game loop, in our update. So if self.currentGameState equals currentGameState.map, else if we're going to do this. So I'm thinking our current game state is not changing. So if we found a Pokemon, we've got to change the game state to be this. And we're creating the battle here. And then we're going to call self.battle.update. And then we probably want to call a render as well. So we have load. So let's make an update method that we'll just pass on right now. So update and then render. The other thing we should be passing into this battle is the actual player. So when we create this, let's do player or monster and then player as well, so that the player can actually fight. Self.player, that's cool. So this is going to come in here, pass a player in. Oh, and there's a monster. All right, so that's pretty cool. So we can put the health in here as well. Okay, so I really want some kind of text on here. So let's go to the battle view and see if we can... Oh, it's not letting me quit, is it? Quit. So that's going to be in that update. Let's just... It's almost like we need a global handler for when we try and exit, because I am always having trouble exiting. Yeah, it's almost like we need a global event handler like this so that we can have these global options and then they get delegated to the kind of the current window. But that's okay for now. So this will just allow us to quit the game right now. Okay. All right, so let's get some font in. So we're just going to create a font equals pygame dot font dot sysfont none, and I think this is the height. And then we need an image for that. Font.render, so the font's going to render it to an image that we're going to put on, and we're going to put self.monster. Health and attack. Monster.attack. And then we need to display that, so it's screen.lit image. Should be self.screen. And I think this is the size. See if that works. Oh, so we need to put in true. I'm not sure what this does. And we need to put in the color. So true sets the anti-aliasing to true, and then we need to put in a color. I'm not quite sure what this color comes from. I think it can be anything. So if that's the case, we might be able to do config.black, maybe? Hello, monsters. There we go. Cool, it worked. So I think this is the location. Let's try. So this is the width. Sorry, this is the x-axis. This is the y-axis. So we want to find where it was. We just want to draw it a little bit more down. And then we'll also write another font. It's going to be press enter to attack. So let's run this. We want this a little bit more down. And we also want to draw the player. Which we're going to do up here. That should be self.player.image. Let's just double check what we actually named that. Whoops. That is our player image. Yeah, so that's the correct name. Let's give that a run, see what happens. Okay, so we want our player to be over on this side. So I don't think we need this. We can just do 320. We should really be using our config here. But I'm too lazy to do that right now. Cool. All right, that's looking pretty good. That's a pretty good battle screen. Okay, so now what we want to do is basically whenever enter gets hit, an attack happens. So that's going to be in the battle.update method where we're handling all these events. We're going to say if event.key equals pygame.k_return, which is the enter key, we're just going to attack the monster's health. Self.monster.health equals self.monster.health, take away 1. Then, let's see. We're going to say if, at the start of our update, if self.monster.update equals, nope, not update, health. Then we are going to put the state. Oh man, we got another state. Basically, I want to say, well, the battle's over. But you know, we might actually want to handle that in the game update as well. That's something we might need to decide. That might work better in the game update. Let's take a look. So if we're currently in the battle, do we want it before the update? Do we want it after? Let's put it after for now. We'll do if self.battle.monster e.health is less than or equal to 0. Then we're going to change the current game state. Go back to the map. Okay, so now if we hit enter, yes, die, die, chicken, die. Got another duck. The snake. All right, I like it. So we got our battle going. We're killing monsters. Things are going well.